Hello there folks, welcome back to the Chap Reviews, the channel in which I, Ash, give you my point of view, my observations on a recently or classic movie from the unique perspective of a middle-aged British guy. And today, I've just come back from watching the Big, Bold, Beautiful Journey. What a big, bold movie this actually was. It is a fantasy, romantic movie with quite a bit of drama thrown in there as well, with some pretty big stars. You know, we are talking about Colin Farrell, actually looking younger than his, I think, 49 or 50 years, looking trim, looking handsome, very much the leading man. And he needs to look good because his co-star in this is Margot Robbie, who, of course, is beguilingly beautiful in almost every angle that the camera catches her in. So we have a great leading pair. But the storyline, for me, is where it started to become a little unstuck. Now, I knew nothing about this movie, so as it unfolded for me, I often found myself not truly understanding what was going on. And remember, I said it is a fantasy romantic movie. There is a lot of fantasy here. Essentially, and I'll just give you a brief outline of the story, our two lead characters, Colin Farrell, Margot Robbie, they are strangers to each other, and they are travelling alone to the wedding of somebody who is known to them both. There's a little interaction, a little frisson. We get the sense that there may be an attraction by them both, but Margot Robbie makes it clear she's not interested in taking this further because for some reason, known only to her at this point, she has a terrible way of disappointing men. She describes herself as being something of a relationship monster. And Colin Farrell, he is a little bit more standoffish, a little bit more, you know, sort of a bit of a loner, shall we say. That's probably a good way of putting it. As it happens, they hire cars to get to this wedding from a very strange hire car company. And you know, the people running the hire car company are the old Academy Award winning actor Kevin Kline and Phoebe Waller-Bridge, acting for some reason with a bizarre German accent, and it's all a little bit strange. And my first thought was, when they both individually obviously hire these cars, I think to myself, why would they do this? Why would they hire cars from people who are so blatantly odd? I should say, as you're watching this movie, you have to totally suspend your belief in the natural order of things. This is a movie where magical fantasy is taken for granted. And sometimes it's hard to get your head around that. But as I say, they both hire these cars, and the cars have, shall we say, a magical sat-nav attached to them both. And this sat-nav is not like any sat-nav you and I have on our cars. It gives you sort of advice where to go, stop here, go and have a burger. And both of them do actually stop, have a burger, and they meet each other again after having recently met at this wedding. And contrivance of the plot makes it necessary for them to both, one of their cars breaks down basically, and they have to go on this big, bold, beautiful journey together, where the sat-nav is directing them to stop here. They get out of their car and there is a doorway, just a doorway, no building attached, a doorway in the middle of a wood, or of an advertising hoarding at the side of a road, and various other things. And they go through these doorways and they find themselves reliving key moments in their past lives. And going through these doorways allows us, the viewer, to understand more about the character arc of these individuals. For instance, Colin Farrell's character, he goes through the door and he finds himself in his old high school musical production, in which he was the lead, and in which, in its earlier iteration, he proclaimed his love for one of his co-stars in this high school musical. She turns him down, and it sends him off on a path of somebody who is emotionally hurt from the age of 13 or whatever it was. And, you know, we see a little snippet into the lives of these individuals. Now, again, the thing that I don't truly understand as I'm watching this is, why do they think this is normal? There's no underlying story which explains the magical fantasy which they're on. The fact that they seem to take this in their stride, that they're walking through a door, and for instance, Margot Robbie's character, she goes back to the hospital ward where her mother dies prematurely young, and she gets to say a touching farewell to her mother again. And I was thinking to myself, what's going on? Where's the explanation to this magic? I mean, as the story unfolds, we learn about the characters, and as you can probably guess, they edge closer and closer together until eventually they come to the determination that they can overcome their individual issues and things which have held them back from finding enjoyment in their lives. And eventually, at the very end, they come to the decision that they can forge a life of contentedness together in the future. And I know what's going on here, right? You're watching this and you can see it heading in this direction from kind of the midpoint of the movie. You know what's happening, right? There's going to be a happy ending here. We know this from the very get-go. But it's how we get there and the way that the plot is kind of sort of weirdly chaotic, and we're reliving odd periods of their past lives, bringing us closer together, where they decide, let's make a stab of it. You're a fantastically attractive woman, I'm a very good-looking man, let's see where this takes us. Basically, that's what the story is as a plot device. So from that regard, I can't say I didn't love this film. I didn't love it. I didn't hate it either. There were moments of touching sentimentality. And these are both very good actors. Margot Robbie, as I say, when she comes on the screen, her natural beauty is, eye-watering. And Colin Farrell, still very much the dashing leading man with his sort of very lilting Irish accent in the background here, very sharp. He's got himself in great shape, actually. He's looking good. But, yeah, it didn't really hitch up for me. The sat-nav, this sort of constant companion telling them what to do, but no explanation for it. Why is it doing that? What's the motivating force between this magic which is pulling these two together? I sense this is going to be a really polarizing movie. There are folks who are going to go out there, they're going to watch this and they're going to think, yeah, I love it. I love the magic. And there are those like me who probably think, what the hell's going on? Why is this happening? There's no explanation. I'm going to give it 2 bowler hats out of 5 because I gotta say, I really wanted to love this film. You've rarely seen nice romantic movies like this, but it just didn't hitch up for me. It just didn't get its ducks in a row and it didn't punch home. That's just me. You might find it differently. I think you might find it a fairly decent date film. If you're looking to go out and on an early date with a potential partner or friend, and it's something which will give you something to talk about afterwards. There was certainly a lot going on here. But that was my thought. Hope you enjoyed the review. Until the next time we meet at the next review, take care, and I'll see you soon.